Le Nissan Kick-Play 2025 a beaucoup de plus. Apple CarPlay intégré pour jouer vos tunes préférées, des fonctions avancées de sécurité, un rendement énergétique remarquable, puis même la petite odeur de char neuf qu'on aime tant. Tout ça en plus pour moins. Le Nissan Kick Play 2025 est le véhicule neuf le plus abordable au Québec. Achetez-le à partir de seulement 22 774 $, incluant un rabais à l'achat comptant de 2 600 $. Profitez de cette offre avantageuse chez votre concessionnaire dès maintenant. Jusqu'au 2 mars, des conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
This is the Big Five on the Elias Macco Show, brought to you by investment advisor Richard Lapointe of CIBC Wood Gundy. Richard Lapointe can always be reached at 847-6324.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for shout-outs. Before the Big Five, time for shout-outs. Shout-out, Pierre Fond. Loosely translated, Deep Rock.
No, rock bottom. Pal.
Rock bottom.
I live there, I can say that.
I love Pierre Fond. Shout out, Bubbles. Yeah, Bubbles. You know you want to be happy? Bubbles. Carbonated beverage. Are you down? Are you at home and you're like, I just need a little bit. Well, open up some Bubbles. Get some sparkling water. Maybe some champagne. Maybe Diet Dr. Pepper. Anything. Once you hear the bubbles, you get happy. Shout out to Bubbles. Shout out Terrebonne. I dated someone from Terrebonne for 1 year.
Ooh, felt like two.
It was great actually, and she went to the U.S. on a tennis scholarship. She went to a university in the U.S. on a tennis scholarship. Great tennis courts in Terrebonne. Shout out Terrebonne. Even though some of you may not be happy with what I'm going to tell you about during the Big Five. Shout out whoever names foaming hand soap flavors. I thought I loved Radiant Raspberry, and then I met Tangerine Treat. Shout out to the children drawing rainbows. I walk to work every day. And every time I see a rainbow in the window, I get happy. I saw one today. It was the rainbow. The message underneath. Call your parents. Call your grandparents, actually. I loved it. Do you have a rainbow on your window? If not, arts and craft project today, everyone, for the kids. Get the rainbow on your window, on your door. Shout out Nuns Island. You think you're special. I think you're special. Everyone thinks you're special. Shout out Nuns Island. And a shout out to all the security guards. That's from Robert. The security guards that are trying to deal with some people that aren't being that respectful. Shout out to the security guards. If you have a shout out, feel free to text it to me. As I think Andrew taps away at his keyboard in the background. All right, it's the Big Five. Trudie Mason is here. Hi, Trudie.
Good morning.
I love the audience reception from you. I'm doing these shout-outs simply because of that.
I love these shout-outs.
It's great.
I love the bubble ones especially.
Trudie Mason is in this. It's true, though, right?
Yeah,
you crack open anything with bubbles, it's like, I'm happy again.
It's a treat.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Love it. Okay, everyone's going to rush on this grocery store now for bubbles. Okay, on the line, hey, it's Ann Lagace-Dowson. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Elias. I'm standing in my yard in my coat.
Ooh, an outdoor Ann. Fantastic. Well, wherever you've got good reception, I am happy for that. Guys, let's get to the Big Five. And I want to talk about, the first thing I want to talk about is tough guy Trump, okay? Tough guy Donald Trump. Boy, he was handing it to us Canadians and handing it to 3M 4 days ago. I want to play you some audio here from a press conference. This is from April 3rd. When he was asked by a reporter about 3M and them shipping masks out of the country. Here's how that went.
Yes, Mr. President, both the government of Canada and 3M are pushing back on this DPA not to export N95 respirators. Yeah. 3M says...
I don't blame them. They can push back if they want. We're not happy with 3M. Yeah. We're not happy. And the people that dealt with it directly are not at all happy with 3M. So we'll see whether or not we do. I heard what he had to say today. I don't know the gentleman, but we're not happy with 3M. Go ahead.
So he likes to claim fake victory, that I won this battle. In actuality, what's going to happen here is everyone continues to get the masks they were already going to get. 3M is committing to make more masks, but the insiders in that situation say, well, they were already ramping up the mask production. There's actually nothing that has changed. This guy says he plays the tough guy, and then he actually never wins out on these battles. In fact, this time it was Justin Trudeau who bested Donald Trump. What do you think happened here, guys? Is this maybe you think this is a big win for Trump, or do you think Justin Trudeau won this battle? Anne, I'll start with you.
Well, I think what we've seen is the federal government, Chrystia Freeland most notably, they've become quite adept at doing end runs around Donald Trump and his close entourage. Like, they deal with other tiers of power, other back channels. They figured out how to get around this guy. Like, they did that during the free trade talks, for better or for worse. They just basically worked around the guy, and I think that's what they've done here. And as a result, there's going to be masks arriving in Ontario, and Doug Ford is going to have a lot of the stuff that he needs. Like, I think ultimately, like, what we're seeing is, Trump is just really weak fundamentally. He's just weak. He doesn't have a grasp of the issues. He seems to be coming unhinged in some of these news conferences we've been watching. And I think it's actually to the good of Canada in the sense that the stuff is going to arrive despite the guy. Like, he's posturing for his base, and that works for his base. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't work in any other way. Not for the science, not for the people who are sick, and not for U.S. allies like Canada.
Well, I also think he doesn't like to be told no. And he reacts with anger instead of seeing it as an opportunity for negotiation or a little bit of a wake-up call. And, oh, well, that wasn't the reaction I was hoping for. How can I, negotiate my way through it? This guy who allegedly wrote The Art of the Deal, I think he doesn't understand very, very well how to proceed, and he reacts with anger. And I think that that's misplaced, particularly in a high-ranking political leader. Mm-hmm. That being said, I have to admit I'm very squirmy on this issue of the masks, because let's do a thought experiment and imagine that this was a Canadian factory prioritizing its exports to the U.S. instead of supplying to the hospitals running short in Canada. We would be furious with that company.
No, we wouldn't, because Canadians would if you want to go with that example, Trudie, then to follow along with that example, the next sentence has to be, oh yeah, and all the raw materials to make those masks come from the U.S. And in this instance, which is why it was so dumb, and our economies have been intertwined forever, and we have been there for the United States time and time again in all of their crises. In this instance, the masks 3M is making in the U.S., all of the pulp comes from Canada. You want to play hardball with Canada on this one? It was a loser from the start. So, I mean, I get what you're saying in the sense that, conservatives would love to make an issue anytime Canada does anything that's not 100% Canada first. If we ever send foreign aid anywhere, it's a controversy. But it doesn't fly here for those reasons.
Except you're trusting Canadians to be, logical and reasoning about this, when what we're seeing is widespread illogic. We are afraid. If you have a senior citizen in a care home, I don't think you'd be down with, the pulp is Canadian and blah, blah, the Americans are right. No, you're going to say, dang those Americans, Canadian-made masks need to stay in Canada to protect Canadians. And that's where it would end. That's where So I don't want to be too harsh on Americans on this question. I'm
not harsh on Americans.
I'm harsh on Donald Trump always, because I think he's incompetent. But I kind of think that maybe if the situation were reversed, we would not be quite so magnanimous.
Any normal president would say, "Oh, we're exporting masks? Really? What's the situation?" And then the response would be, "Oh, yes, Mr. President, we are exporting masks, but in the actuality, 3M imports more masks from China than they export, and we get the goods." And then a normal, rational president would be, "Oh, yeah, that's fine." And then the story would be forgotten. It wouldn't turn into a press conference where I'm Mr. Macho Tough Guy saying 3M's going to make their masks here and blah, blah, and that's the end of that, which is what is the current state in the U.S.
I just don't want to paint us as saints, as Canadians.
I just want to paint us as,
do that.
I don't want to paint us as saints. I think you're right. I want to paint us as winners in this battle, okay? And Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland and that team, they show Donald Trump just who's boss in this scenario. I do want to point this out before we go anywhere else, because we're talking about American politics. And you know what? I sort of knew we were going to find out this information. Unfortunately, it was buried in a New York Times article that came out last night. Okay. And it is unbelievable to find out. I mean, it's not unbelievable. I guess it's very believable that, the drug that Donald Trump keeps talking about, right? How many times has Donald Trump mentioned this drug day after day after day? Well, it turns out that Mr. Trump himself has a small personal financial interest in Sanofi, the French drug maker that makes Plaquenil, the brand name version of hydroxychloroquine. Are you as surprised as I am, guys, Anne?
No, I'm not surprised. I think they've all got their hands in the pot. Those guys are greedheads. The whole entourage. They're, the word kleptocrat, like that's a government run by a lot of really dishonest, thieving people. Like we've seen other stories about people who bought shares of medical companies and all kinds of stuff just as the story of the virus was breaking in the U.S. Like this is a complete failure of the U.S. political system and the checks and balances and all the stuff that's supposed to operate to keep a guy like Trump and his family. Like Jared Kushner is running the strategy against the virus. What does Jared Kushner know about any of that stuff? And who elected him? Nobody. Like the whole thing is just outrageous. Like the whole thing is just terrible from top to bottom. So no, I'm not surprised at all.
Can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah.
The stories the office is buzzing about. The Big Five on the Elias Macco Show.
All right. Well, where do you do your grocery shopping? Where are you buying your goods right now? Perhaps your options are going to become a little more limited. Terrebonne, the mayor of Terrebonne, just announced, in coordination with the public director of health in that area, that they will stop letting people, and in fact, it begun this morning. I got a Twitter message from a listener who says, I live in Pointe-aux-Trembles. I shop at the Costco in Lachenay. Got there at 6:50 a.m., 3 people in line. Costco employee advised me the mayor has instructed them to only allow people from the immediate area in, and that's what they're doing. They're actually checking driver's license. You have to show driver's license with an address or other proof of residence before you can shop at that Costco, but it's all big box stores, by the way. The Walmarts, all of them that are open, you can only shop there if it's local. Guys, is this, are you in favor of this, and do you think it's a sign of other things to come, Anne?
No, I don't think I am in favor of that. I understand that they're concerned about serving their immediate clientele, like their local clientele, but I think, like I shop at my local grocery store, I walk there, I line up out front, I social distance as best I can because it's a bit tight quarters, like I don't actually own a vehicle, so that limits me, but I think it's important to not, if it's not necessary to limit access, then we shouldn't do it. When it becomes necessary, then we should do it. And I don't think it's necessary. Not yet, anyway. I mean, everybody's wondering how long this is going to go on. Now, estimates are 12 to 18 months. The pessimists are saying that, maybe even more, so we don't know. But if we don't need to do it just yet, then I think probably we shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I agree, but for different reasons. We may be in the middle of a medical emergency. I don't want to have to show ID to go in and buy toilet paper at a big box store. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, it's an overreaching measure. What exactly is the problem? This is my question. If there is evidence that people are recreational shopping, if there is evidence of people saying, "Oh, we're in self-quarantine, but we have to get groceries," you know what? Just for giggles, let's drive from Pierrefonds to Chateauguay and go to the Maxi there, then if there's evidence of that, then yeah, you might want to reinforce, please, try to stay in your own kind of region or stay on the island, because we know that there's a big outbreak on the island. Don't go into regions where there's not as much COVID-19. That to me would make sense from a medical perspective. I haven't seen evidence. Do we know that people are recreational shopping, driving from region into region when they could shop closer to home? And some stores are regional. The Costco, there's one Costco on the West Island. So does that mean that if you live in St. Anne de Bellevue, you can't go to the Costco?
Well, so it's not, it's not Terrebonne only. It's the whole, like the Lachenay is the one in the Terrebonne area. So it's basically the greater Terrebonne area. You've got to live in that zone in order to go to those big box stores. Trudie, your point there is, do we have proof that this is a big problem? Right. That's the question,
and
right?
The other point I want to make is, if you're an essential worker and you're organizing, you have to organize your family life around, unexpected childcare, and maybe your spouse is off work, whatever the busyness in your family right now is due to, I think you should be able to shop wherever you dang well want. And if that means if you work outside your region next door to a Costco, you should be able to go into the Costco on your way home and bring your groceries home, because that's what's convenient for you as an essential worker.
In fact, that's a perfect example. Someone, let's say, who works in Terrebonne, and they want to shop before they head home for the day after they finish their work. They can't shop there. And I do think that's a little
and it's
insane.
crazy, because they're already going into that community for work. Why shouldn't they be able to shop in that community? It's not like they're touristing. It doesn't make sense to tourist shop. But for essential workers and other people, I don't get that.
I wonder if they have some proof that people, just for fun, because they've been so shut in, and maybe they're like, oh, you know what? My local store is so busy. Let's go into the outer regions where there's less people. Maybe they have evidence of that. Maybe. I don't know. But I would hope that they had evidence before making that decision. Anne, do you want anything?
But anecdotally, I think probably that is happening for some people. Like, they're taking their car, because people are starting to freak out. I think that people are getting a bit stir crazy.
But there's lineups everywhere, right? I mean, with the social distancing, there's lineups everywhere.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I can see how that psychology might be operating. That people might just decide, okay, instead of going to the usual Costco at Marché Central, we're going to the one in Anjou or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
I can see that, but people should try not to do that. I mean, we're trying to contain and shut this thing down, right? We're trying to bring down the curve, and it's really trying. Like, it's driving people a bit bonkers, but it's really important to try and respect that agenda and not just. You don't know if you're a carrier. Like, a lot of us have it and we don't know.
Let me play the devil's advocate, and just based on what you said, because you brought up some good points there. If we're trying to flatten the curve, we want to plank the curve, maybe we should enforce, you want groceries in your neighborhood. That's it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's the right idea, but if we're really serious about flattening the curve, maybe we got to say, you live in Côte-Neige, you shop in Côte-Neige. That's it. That's all. I don't care if you want to go to Costco. You got to shop at Maxi.
Eventually, it may come to that. That is a possibility, and we need to all be considering that, and we need to be trying to think about the fact that we may all inadvertently be vectors of this stupid virus. Like, you don't know, Elias, you might be a carrier. Like,
don't tell Trudie.
Who's got it? Me, or like I could be a carrier, and I live with two teenagers, and because I work for an organization that's been deemed an essential service by the Quebec government, I've been going into the office.
Yeah. I have someone here on the text line saying, I think it's a wonderful idea. There's no need. It's not essential to shop at a place like Costco.
No, that is a point too, right? Like, that is it's a relatively privileged layer of the population that shops at a Costco by definition anyway, because you've got to buy a membership and you probably have to have a car. So that's not everybody by any means. So, but I think at the moment, since it's not necessary, we probably shouldn't do it. But we should keep it in our back pockets, like, we need to be thinking about how to, like, I heard this guy from Sweden saying, oh, well, because Sweden hasn't put in a big lockdown.
Yeah, and they got a big bag of hurt coming to them right now.
Yeah, so people over 80, they're the only ones who are affected, so, maybe it's not so bad. I'm like, are you kidding me? What a class 1 jerk, irresponsible thing to say, and what a stupid way of approaching this disease, right? Like, it's so ageist and disgusting. Like, you're old, so therefore too bad for you. Like, sorry, no. And that's not the way most people have approached it. They've taken this on as a serious thing, that we need to be protecting our most vulnerable neighbors and fellow citizens, which some of whom are elderly. And we also know the virus isn't that, it doesn't discriminate solely on the basis of age. Like, there are all kinds of people who are getting it.
Teresa Tam now saying that wearing a mask can help stop the spread of COVID-19. She'd been facing a lot of pressure, by the way, from the media, a lot of questioning over the last couple of weeks, I would say. Guys, do you think this policy announced yesterday, which again is, masks can help as long as you keep doing the other stuff first. Do you view this as a reversal, or do you view it as an evolution of policy? Trudie, I'll start with you.
I think it's an evolution, and I think it's interesting that Teresa Tam has said that, but Horacio Arruda here in Quebec has not.
I don't know. Did you see the press conference today? Because he was asked that question and he said, no, we're on the exact same page, because you've got to do X, Y, Z, and then the mask on top of it optionally.
Yeah, but that's not exactly the way he's spinning it. He's saying that people will he's predicting people will wear a mask and think they're invulnerable and they won't do anything else. Theresa Tam isn't saying that either. So, I find that didn't go down very well with me, what Horacio Arruda said. But I do agree that it's an evolution. I think it's a good one. I think earlier they might have wanted to say that, but they didn't. They felt that they couldn't because it would encourage people to
Hoarding.
stockpile and steal stuff from hospitals and so on. So I welcome that.
And?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was a bit surprised that there wasn't this directive to encourage people to wear masks, because it just makes perfect sense. If you're an asymptomatic carrier, you should be wearing a mask to protect other people. If you're a symptomatic
carrier, you don't know. If you're asymptomatic, you don't know.
There's no downside to wearing a mask, it seems to me.
But yeah, so Anne, if you're asymptomatic, you don't know. So that just, to me, that says everyone's got to wear a mask.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's where we're headed. Seriously, I'm wondering about that, because unless you can guarantee that you're going to be 6 or whatever feet of 2 meters away from somebody at all times, then this thing, as far as we know, it's airborne and it survives for fairly long periods of time, depending. I don't know. I mean, I don't see the downside of wearing a mask. I just wish I could get my hands on one.
Are you wearing them? So you're not wearing a mask, a homemade mask? You're not wearing one?
No, I wear, I don't know, I pull my scarf up over my face. I have a couple of paper masks that I got from the CLSC at one point when one of the kids was sick. So I'm sort of scrambling, and I really, really, really try to social distance. I really try to stay well back. And I get annoyed with people who don't seem to be too clear on the concept, which has happened to me a couple of times. Like the guy who horked up a giant,
loogie
spitball on the street. That really annoyed me. And I told the guy off. He was not happy with me. So, I think we all need to be trying to do the best we can.
Well, I wore my first mask outdoors when I went to the pharmacy on Sunday night, and it was Trudie's mask that she made me. So came in very handy.
How do I get one of those? That's my question.
It's a mail order program, isn't it? Don't you have a new Shopify website?
Yeah.
Trudie's masks?
Trudie, come on. Get me one of those.
Guys, we have a minute here. I start off now with shout-outs. Let's end off with a shout-out. I got a minute here. So let's talk about the government website yesterday for the CREB, the Canada Emergency Relief. Is it Emergency Relief Benefit? Is that what it stands for?
Response.
There you go. Response benefit claims. The website goes up, and they took 1,000 a minute, and the website stayed up. It didn't crash. Everyone says the process was really easy, and this is the government that gave us the Phoenix payment system. Can we give them kudos here for a website that worked? 15 seconds, Anne.
Yeah, we definitely should give them kudos for this. I think what it does for me as a person who's been told over and over again, oh, no, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. Suddenly we can afford this, and not only that, we can pull it off. It's there's way more capacity there than people have been told, and we need to think about that for the future.
Trudie.
I would even approve of bonuses for the technicians who built that site or modified whatever existing platform they had to modify. Absolutely.
Oh, how ironic. The bonuses will come through the Phoenix payment system, and they'll never get it. Trudie Mason and Lagace-Dowson. Thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Take care.